Hi there, how's it going? Today we're going to be looking at another tune from Final 7. This one is the Shinra Company's theme, and it first plays, I believe, whenever President Shinra appears for the first time. It's pretty short-lived the first time we hear it, but nevertheless, it is the first time we hear it, so let's have a look. Let's start with B flat minor, and then it goes to G minor. So right away we've left the key. So if we were in B flat minor, normally the 6th chord, the type of G chord you would get is G flat major, which actually it will get to later on in the piece, but for now it goes to G minor. So this type of movement is called a chromatic median. If the original chord moves up or down by a major or minor third, it's going to create one of these movements. It's often used to create a creepy type sound. So for example, we have this one that's actually used. So that's down a minor third. If I went down a major third, and if I go up a minor third, or up a major third, create quite a striking sound we want to use since this is the theme for Shinra, so it's a perfectly apt choice. So that's the first section, it's just back and forth between those two chords. In the second section, we start again with B flat minor, but this time it actually does go to the regular 6th chord of the key, which is not only G flat, but G flat major 7, so it's always a nice thing to do, because if I have in this case we have B flat minor, so with the B flat in the bass, the B flat, D flat and F that we're playing act as the root note, the minor third and the 5th, but as soon as the bass changes, it kind of softens the sound, because with G flat in the bass and seen as the root note, the B flat, D flat, F now become the major third, the 5th and the flat 7. So when it's in B flat minor, these three notes are quite direct, quite intense, and although you get a prettier sound, it is softened. But it's a way of repeating the same idea on top of everything whilst keeping it interesting, because whatever is underneath is always changing the context, the sound of what's above it. And then we go from that G flat major 7, just a direct modulation, up a semitone to G minor, which is going to be referring back to the first section where it went straight from B flat minor to G minor. So you just have this note in between. And then we have a kind of a sequence, because going from B flat minor to G flat is 1 minor to flat 6. And now if we treat G minor as the new 1, it's also going to go same trick. So in this case, you have G minor. So you got if G is the 1, B flat is the minor third, the 5th, and the root. And then as soon as the bass changes to E flat, and again all the function of these notes change. So B flat's now the 5th, D is the major 7, and G is the 3rd. So again, you can keep the thing on top the same, change the bass note. This is the same trick actually that Sting uses in Roxanne. So you have the guitarist Andy Summers playing just these 2 chords, so you got G minor and F, but the bass key is changing. So if the bass just followed those 2 round and round, it wouldn't be that interesting. But the fact that the bass keeps moving down gives these chords on top different contexts. So right. So the first time around it is just G minor F. But now, even though the guitar appears to be returning to G minor because the bass goes down to E flat, it's now going to be heard as this E flat major 7. And the same thing happens with this. So this was seen as F before, but now it's heard as a D minor 7. So you can have the same thing on top. And now that chord progression that the guitar player's playing is kept interesting just by changing the bass note. So it's the same idea in this piece, where B flat minor to G flat major 7, and then G minor going to E flat major 7. So it's a good device in any composition. You keep one thing the same, change something else. That's it for the harmony. Now let's move on to the melody. This is the theme for the Shinra company, and so the melody that's used is similar to another variation on this, but in any case it's a rising melodic minor scale, in this case B flat. So we have the first section with and these chords come in. Actually, that's one part of the harmony I wanted to talk about. So even though the basic movement in the A section is just between B flat minor and G minor, there is this one moment that I want to talk about where this happens. So that's this chord here. This diminished 7. It's something I want to talk about. This is quite a useful chord in music if you want to treat it like a kind of musical crossroads. It's such an ambiguous chord, and it's used to go in multiple different directions. So this A diminished 7 could be, and is often seen as, 4 possible different dominant chords, depending on how you view it. So for example, if I have an F in the bass, then if I just use this chord, so if I'm thinking that F is the root note, A is the 3rd, C is the 5th, E flat is the flat 7, and this G flat is seen as the flat 9, so it's F7 flat 9. And if we just pick a stereotypical resolution, so let's say each of these dominant chords resolves down a 5th, so F7 flat 9 would resolve down a 5th. Let's go to B flat minor. But this chord can also be, like I said before, it can be seen as 3 other dominant chords possibly. So if I just travel down a minor 3rd, we can see them all. So if I now pretend that D is the root note, then the same chord can be seen as A is now the 5th, C is the flat 7, E flat is now the flat 9, and this note I'll now spell as F sharp as the major 3rd of D. And if this is now D7 flat 9, that can resolve down a 5th to G minor. So we've had 2 different progressions using the same exact voicing. Or, okay, let's do down another minor 3rd. So started on F, then it goes down to D, then it goes down to B. So if we imagine that now B is the root note, same voicing. But if B is the 1, A is now the flat 7, C is the flat 9, this note I'll now spell as D sharp as the major 3rd, and this note is F sharp, being the 5th. And if B7 flat 9 is the chord, that can resolve down a 5th to E minor this time. Right, so we've had And we have one more, so F, D, B, G sharp, or A flat, be the last one. Let's call it A flat. So if A flat's the root note, this A natural is now the flat 9, B double flat technically. It's the flat 9. C is the third. I'll now call this E flat as the fifth of A flat. And this is now G flat, the flat 7. And if it's A flat, 7 flat 9, then that could resolve down a fifth to D flat minor. So this one voicing is now being used as musical crossroads to go in potentially 4 different directions, whether it's F7 flat 9 to B flat minor, D7 flat 9 to G minor, B7 flat 9 to E minor, or A flat 7 to D flat minor. And you can use it as a great modulation tool to starting a new section or helping to develop the section you're currently in. The way it's being used here is just as F7, because we have the B flat minor, then the voicing, the 8 diminished, and back again. So if it's going B flat minor somewhere else and back again, then it's definitely being seen as a F7 flat 9. And if the bass followed that, we would hear, let's see. So we'd hear that movement in the bass. However, this is adding another technique, which is pedaling. So where the bass just stays the same, regardless of what's happening on top. So we still get that dissonance of that diminished chord. It's even more dissonant for the pedal, but then because it resolves, it doesn't really matter how dissonant it is. So okay, back to the melody. So we had this B flat melodic minor scale, like this. And this diminished chord progression. Then as it changes, so we've already talked about it changing from B flat minor to G minor. Oh. But again, same idea. Keep one thing the same, change something else. So this B flat melodic minor, it changes slightly, but that idea that it's going to start there and rise. B flat melodic minor, and then G melodic minor. Let's hear them again. And then straight to G melodic minor. Little change of that, because the harmony on top's adding a 9. Same as a 2. And then the harmony there on the last one changes from B flat, which is the minor third, to the C, which is the 11. So even more color. And here's this now. So we got G minor, the same A diminished chord with again pedaling. So in this case, pedaling the G. So that's an example of what I was talking about. So we have the first time we hear it, this diminished chord is heard as an F7. And then here when we hear it again, this time in G minor. But this time it's heard as a D7. But again, you can use that same chord to resolve to a totally different place. So let's look at the melody in the next section. So you have the little movement there. So these two voices, the D flat and the F within the B flat minor chord, moving down one scale tone. And you could see that as a different chord, but to me I just hear it as a kind of just a movement. It's just moving voices somewhere so they can move back. More for its melodic purpose rather than trying to spell it harmonically with anything. And then up a semitone to G minor. Same move there, again. So this fourth interval at the top of the G minor chord, just moving those voices down. Back again, just as we were moving the thirds before. Now you're moving fourths. Again, you could see that as a chord in its own right, G minor 11. But again, I'm not really hearing it like that. It's just a movement. So when we can get back to the same G minor on top, but with an E flat on the bass. So one more time. And then back to the B flat. Okay, that's us for today. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.